Dang, that was fast too. That's a fast setup.
I
I'm
went like the
impressed.
clappers. Okay, let me just see if it's going live because it's saying I
Oh,
use the stream
hello.
key. It's saying start streaming, but I'm not seeing it live yet.
I'm seeing something live and
It
it's looking
is?
pretty smooth.
Hey, okay.
Hey, girl, look at you go.
Woo! Okay, welcome back to Maud's Book Club. Can I just say I have gone through it. So it turns out my streaming platform, Streamlabs, which I would like to call out quite publicly, you suck. You had a collapsed system. You dropped frame rates and you basically keeled over and died on me when I had
Tell 'em.
an interview. So we've tried and set up again with OBS, which is a platform I may have used once about 5 years ago, but we've set it up randomly right here. For those that are still with us, thank you for your patience. Thank you so much for just surviving at the moment. That's what it feels like a little bit. And we're in this together, and I really appreciate you. It is not the most delightful setup, but it's what we have. And the most important thing, Kels, is that I get to talk to you about your book. So
Yeah.
just for a little rehash for those, if you are just joining us and you're wondering what's happening, technical difficulties, push back 30 minutes, restarting the conversation. Kels did let us know that she started writing the book in the pandemic, and we were just about to explore how The Little Mermaid has either rescued us or destroyed us, because I believe both
Mm,
can be true. So I'm passing that over to
so
you.
true. Well, I mean, I like when I was like a little girl, my mom would put The Little Mermaid on for me every day. Like it would Little Mermaid was like Frozen to me as a
Mhm.
little kid. I was obsessed. I watched it repeatedly. I like apparently according to my mom is the only movie she could put on to make me be quiet while they were doing like dinner or other things. She'd put that on and I was like chilling, fully locked in, obsessed. And I feel like, the story's definitely stuck with me. I've read the original work as well, and such a haunting story, the original one. But I think what the through line is this like yearning for connection that I think is just such a huge part of a lot of stories and a lot of like just being human. And I think that's what stories, in my opinion, tend to do as well, is just this like desire to connect, to go through something together, or at least to understand something together and have like as shared experience. And that's what I love most about stories. And I think that's like a beautiful part of the Little Mermaid story is this like desire to be a part of a different world and like be known by it.
So it clicked with me just now, and I'm going to put it forward to you, where it's like we look at
Mhm.
tropes in storytelling, and you can usually kind of
Yeah, of
see the DNA in the skeleton. What
course.
Ariel had with discovering sort of like or yearning for the land and human life and what it's all about and idolizing it is almost like the
Mm.
millennial version of what we've seen with Harry Potter, where it's like this universe
Sure.
exists. You don't really know much about it, but you're an outsider looking in and you just want to be accepted. And you're willing to give up your
Mhm.
entire life and who you are to try and explore and be a part of a different world. So there is something
Yeah.
mystical and magical about that for us millennials, or for the whole of storytelling, really.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, this is a classic, like, situation of, like, the hero's journey, right? Like, Luke Skywalker giving up everything to go onto this unexpected journey, become
Not
a
moisture farming. He just wanted to
Yeah.
kill the womp rats.
I know, like, I think it's, like, a very common feeling of, like, this departure into a mysterious new world, and I think what's fun about The Little Mermaid specifically is that we know that world. We
Mhm.
live in it. We're a part of the human world. So to see it from an outsider perspective and, like, reappreciate, like, what it means to be human, I think is such a unique flip on that kind of traditional hero's journey in which like know this world in a sense. I mean, I would say in my story, right, like, you don't exact it's still like a fantasy world, but, like, it's still so much more familiar to us
Mhm.
versus you're coming at it from this, like, outsider who knows a very different world, a more mystical world, but wants to be a part of, humanity. I think it's so sweet. It's very endearing, I
I
think.
I will say in your book, you've done an exceptional job of sort of like not being human and having a completely
Mm,
different understanding on life, traditions, but also like the day to day nuance that we take for granted as humans. And I
mhm.
really loved how you were looking at these things for the first time because what would it be like to constantly be living underwater? So, an act of like
Right.
crying, how the sensation of crying would be different. But also,
Yeah.
I love like, what is this dog? Like, not knowing what a pet is, not understanding
Yeah.
what the ears are, birds' wings. You're like, these are weird fins. I really loved sort of like how you
How do they stay up
deconstruct.
and I don't stay up?
I just thought that was a really, really well done. And it's like
Thank
exactly what you're
you.
saying. It's like we understand the human world so much. And what's great about fantasy is that we want to escape out of it. What you're doing with this book
Mhm.
is escaping back into it.
Mhm. A little bit, yeah.
And I think that's really clever. I've got
Thank
some
you.
really fun, I would call them member questions. With Maude's Book Club, you can be a member and you get direct access to authors to ask questions. So I thought we'd go through some of these questions that we've got, just because we're running a little behind and we're going to charge through some fun things. Shout out
No
to,
worries. I don't have any plans after this. I'm willing to hang as long
oh,
as you are.
fantastic. I need a glass of wine more than
No
anything right
rush.
now.
Yeah. Go get a glass of wine. Relax.
Taylor from the book club is really thrilled. This is her very, very first ARC copy. So
Oh my
she
gosh,
applied
congrats.
sh-
I love it.
and she applied with your Australian publisher and
Oh,
got
my
it
UK
through.
publisher.
Oh, so the UK publisher with a, yeah, so it was through, is it
I'm sure they're connected at some point,
Passion?
yeah.
Yeah, in Australia. So this is her
Yes.
very first ARC copy. So I wanted to
That's
read.
so cool.
I know, right? I remember
That's
everyone's
so
first
cool.
ARC.
I
It's,
love it. Yeah, I
and
remember my first arc too. It
what
was
was
like
your
a
first
gift
ARC?
from someone else. It was Renegades from Marissa Meyer. It's a fantastic. If you haven't read it, it's fantastic. It's like a superhero world, and like the main character was like jilted by the like supers that kind of are like these bright shining beacons. And she's like becomes kind of like a bad guy wanting revenge
Ooh.
for this thing that happened to her based on this superhero world. It's a fun ride. It's a trilogy. Love it. But oh my god, I loved getting that first one. It didn't even have the cover on it. And I was like, this is my most prized possession. You never forget.
I know there's something truly personal about it. It's like you're
Mhm.
seeing a glimpse into the soul, I find, of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those who are unfamiliar, an ARC is an advanced reader copy. So it's like a copy of a book that's not yet out. Sometimes it doesn't even have art yet, and it's for review. It's for like, yeah, people like Maude to, like give their professional thoughts or blurbs or whatever have you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you to James who was asking about ARC, so we can all
Yeah.
explain the process. Tay's in the
Sure.
chat at the moment as well, which is exciting, saying it was through
Hi.
Hachette. And I loved it,
Oh my god.
Kelsey. She's already
Yay! I'm
reviewed it.
so glad you
hmm
loved
hmm
it.
So she's
Yay.
asking the questions. Having now written your own published novel, what advice would you give to aspiring writers based on your own experiences with Voice of the Ocean?
I think my advice would be twofold. The first one is just to go for it. I think that in terms of whether it be content creation or any creative field, if you can't do your best work if you don't start at square one, right? You can't sell a novel if you don't finish one. And if that one doesn't work, you try it again. And that's kind of part of the it's part of the pain, but part of the joy of being interested in a creative space is that like you can just keep trying forever, and eventually like by being there, by learning, by growing in your craft, eventually like you will knock down that door. I believe in that because so many people like give up, and like if you just keep trying to hone and keep understanding and working at it, or even just to keep writing, you're gonna finish it. You're gonna like move forward. There's always like I like to believe there's always like a path forward, but like you can't do that without like practicing and by putting in that first effort and like trying and trying and trying again. And then my second one is actually like use all the tools available to you. Um, I actually got my book discovered on TikTok. I was,
Mm.
like, posting about it, and my agent found me on TikTok and was like, "Oh, I wanna work with you." And I think that that, like, has happened to many other recent authors, and I'm like, I don't think people should be afraid to, like, just start marketing themselves and, like, putting themselves out there. It might feel, like, cringe or weird, but, like, these kind of tools, like, building communities and, like, sharing creative ideas is such a fun aspect of social media personally, and I think can, like, end up, like, paving the path for your favorite creative endeavors. Obviously, it's not for everyone, but I would say, like, if you think you might be interested in it, like, go for it, like, learn, put yourself out there. You never know what opportunities might await on the other side. And those are my 2 pieces of advice. That's what worked for me. Obviously, every writer has a fully different story, of how they get from point A to point B, but
I've heard
that
a lot of them as well,
that's
and
my journey.
what
Yeah.
I'm noticing with your story is that you almost became sort of like a marketing package where because you
Yeah.
did a good job putting it out there, they're like fantastic. Because I mean, talking to other authors, it's Pierce Brown and with his series Red Rising, which has done phenomenally well. It was his seventh book that he'd
Oh,
written.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I
so
mean, Brandon Sanderson, I think it was his, like, 12th or something was his first book.
And of course, like
Um,
you talk about, well, what was your first book? And they're like, I don't even want to talk about it. It's so bad. And you're like, you had to write 7 books to finesse storytelling, to
yeah,
really become sort of like to refine an art form in a way until someone goes,
mhm.
okay, now you're good enough. But I think that that's
Sure.
so exciting in today's age where it's like instead of sending a manuscript and crossing your fingers, you can literally talk about it on a public platform and someone goes, I see something here. And that
Yeah.
availability is a lot more exciting, I think, in today's age.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of, like, reaching an audience without feeling like that barrier of, well, someone's gotta say yes first, right, to your
Mm,
creativity, and I think that's what I ran up against when I was first, like, starting to act. That's what I always was, like, so frustrated with, was, like, there's some sort of person that has to say yes for me to be creative and for me to, like, reach my audience and reach my dreams, and that's why I started a YouTube channel, was because I was
mm,
like, I would rather just give myself the ability to be creative on my own regularly. At least then I can say yes to myself. And you find that in a lot of independent writers now. They've said, they've put in all that extra work and published their stuff on their own. Olivia Blake, I believe, is like a fantastic example of that, where she like wrote a lot of books and then became traditionally published after, I
mm,
think, being independent. I think that's her story. I know for a fact Carissa Broadbent has that same story, where she wrote like a whole series, a whole trilogy, and then started a second series. That one blew up on TikTok, and now she's all of her stuff is being traditionally published again.
mm.
Um, so like you never really know. There's a lot of tools out there. I know that there's like creators. So sorry about my dogs. My alarm system's going off.
No,
Apologies if you have dogs that are barking because of my dogs. I unfortunately cannot control them from up here.
I do hear
Um,
them. Zell is in her little bed right now. You can see this sort of
she's
black
like
lump.
she's chilling.
She's
She's straight
chilling.
vibes.
But
I love it.
we've got no one knocking on any doors or setting off alarm systems at the
I can
moment.
barely hear it. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you guys can barely hear it. But yeah, I think it's interesting. There's even, like I was saying, there's some creators that I've seen that started their own book publishing house that are doing like
Yes.
independent like it's so cool. I think that there's so much exciting stuff going on in publishing that are shaking things up, and I think that there's so much opportunity for new writers to find their own journey in.
And
And mine's just one of many wonderful stories.
I feel like you
I'm very
can't
lucky.
fail if you're doing, you know?
Yeah, there's no failure in trying, I don't think. It's just you keep trying kind of until you beat down the door.
That's it.
Um
There's perspective around it. Sometimes I have days where I'm like, I'm just gonna throw shit at a wall until something sticks.
Yeah,
And other times it's like I'm going to finesse my craft and then let my
sure.
work speak for itself. So there are good days and bad days always.
There's time for all of it. It's all a process of artistry. There's
Just got
the
to keep doing it.
frustration. You fall out of love. It's like a toxic relationship being a creative.
Oh, how many
Fall
times
out
have
and in love all the time.
I was gonna say, how many times have you just screamed at your computer screen?
I'm not a screamer, I'm a crier, which I think comes out in this book so greatly. But I will just sit there. I'm like I will it's so funny too because like my book's coming out in the midst of like a kind of writing slump for me. I had like my best writing month last month and I was like, this is incredible. I'm on a high. I'm gonna do even better next month. And then I start hitting like getting so busy trying to prep for a book tour that I just hit a wall in a scene and I'm like, I don't like the scene. I'm not enjoying it. I don't understand where I'm going anymore. And so, and I like didn't write for like a week and that's like the longest I've gone without writing for months now. And I was like, I feel so like such a such a failure. But it's part of it. I think the thing is that you pick it back up. And
Mm,
that's what I learned from my first book too, is like there were like a month where I didn't write. But I finished it eventually because I kept picking it back up. I kept coming back and I like would put it in my calendar to like do it and I would never like delete the reminder, right? I would always have it there like in this sense of like I will finish it at some point. And like if you keep working at it and never put it down, you will finish it eventually.
mm.
Um and so I think that's like the what I kind of try to keep reminding myself in the midst of beating myself up all the time. But yeah, no, plenty of times I've sat at my computer and just like cried.
It's so hard though, because you can't exactly schedule creativity. It's not like you can be like in a 9 to 5 job
You
where
can
you've got
try.
tasks.
You can
Yeah,
try.
that's what's
And I
really, really hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also a muscle. I think if you do try to schedule it, a lot of times it does help, right? Like it helps you get into that. If you I have a certain like routine, right? That like will try to get me into the mode to be creative. And that definitely helps. But you're right. Like you can't always it's not like unfortunately there's two types of creativity to me. There's like the magical like it strikes me and suddenly I'm in this blissful cloud of creativity and it flows and everything's wonderful. And then there's like the other part of creativity where you have to just sit down and do it and it's work and
Yeah.
it sucks and it's hard and you don't like it and you feel like a failure and everything is clunked and clunky and terrible and then you go back through it and you're gonna have to edit it all later, but like at least you're getting through it. And I think waiting for the magical part of it, like the perfect part, sometimes for me is like a hindrance to finishing it. Like progress over perfection, I think is
Mm.
like what I try to make my mantra. But obviously, I'm definitely not perfect.
No, I like that. We've got so many more questions, so I'll try and get through as many as possible. Who's your favorite
I'm a
character?
yapper, so yeah, just call me out. My favorite character, it depends. I love all my characters, but I think if I had to pick, I would say Kiyomi is my favorite character
Yes.
in the book. I love her so
She's
much.
just a
She's like such a
badass.
fantastic. Yeah, she's badass, fantastic friend. Like I love female friendships in books. I don't feel like there's enough of them, so I always love writing like female friendships.
I love that you made a point with found family as well. Like found family for me,
Yeah.
and in the book club community, we love that where it's like you don't
Yes.
often get to choose your own family. And a lot of people have like complicated relationships with family, but it's the friends
Yeah.
that you get to decide, that you get to choose to have. And I think you did a really good job in this book with that as well. And a lot of the time,
Thank you.
this wasn't like, years of developed relationships that you've decided. This was thrust in, and you're like, all right, I guess we'll figure this out.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes you're in that group and you're just stuck together from circumstance and like some sort of wonderful magic happens where you're like, I would never be friends with these people. And yet like you would go to bat for them. And
Es-
I love that feeling, especially in books. I think the ragtag group that like
Yep.
should not be together, but is. It's the guardians of the galaxy of it all. And I love that.
Especially when it's like, you probably wouldn't be friends, but you've gone through so much shit together. So the fact that you survived something, you're like friends for life.
We're like, I'll kill for you.
That's it. That's it.
We're gonna argue, but
I don't
you and me till the
necessarily
end.
like you, but I love you.
But I love you.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Tay also asks, how long do I need to wait to read more?
Oh, I don't know. Well, that is to be announced, but hopefully not too long.
This is the
But
fun part about being an author where people are like, "I read
yeah.
it, I'm more," and you're like, "It
Yeah.
it took me months
It
to
took
write
me
that."
years.
Yeah,
I know, yeah.
again.
Yeah. I love that though. Yeah, the slamming of the coffee mug in Thor.
Yeah.
Another one. I I hope very soon. I'll announce that hopefully fairly soon. We'll see.
Okay,
Stay
okay.
tuned.
But for now, let's get this first book out.
Yes, yes, first book out.
If you were to adapt, this is from Sprinkles the Dragon Cat. If you were to adapt your work for a different media, what would it be?
Hmm.
For example, TV, movie, video game, comic.
That's such a good question. Oh, I haven't even considered video game. That'd be pretty sick. I think video game would be really sick,
Especially
actually.
for you. Yeah. Can you
Yeah, I
imagine?
would love that. Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. I think honestly, I think Voice of the Ocean could make a good movie. I don't know if there's like as much content there to go with like TV show. It would have to be kind of like a limited series kind of vibe. So I would say probably movie. I would love, a little Hunger Games of my own movie, but I think video game would be sick too. That'd be
Speaking
really cool. Or a
speaking of
graphic novel would be
oh, I like
beautiful.
that. Like iridescent
Mhm.
pages.
Oh, yes, a little shine and like the sparkles. Oh,
I
so
don't
good.
I don't mean to out you, but speaking of Hunger Games and crying,
Out me.
how are you coping?
Not it somehow gets worse. I don't know why. I finished the most recent Hunger Games book, Sunrise Over the Reaping, and or is it Rise of the Reaping? I think it's Sunrise.
It's got
I
a
always second
purple
guess myself.
cover.
It's got a purple cover. The
Mhm.
purple cover Hunger Games, and I thought I saw everyone be a wreck after it, and I'm like, "That's gonna be me." And then I finished it, and I was just numb. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I, like, teared up a little, but I was like, "Okay." And then, like, today, I saw one too many Hunger Games edits, and that's when, like, full tears. Just
It's your
it's
algorithm now.
yeah, it's I love when a book sinks into your skin and, like, gets in your muscles and bones and it sits with you, and every day you think of it and you're like, "Oh, this other thing. Oh, and this other thing." And that's that book for me. The connections are insane. Oh, Suzanne, the woman you are.
I
Oh,
mean,
I want her to write everything.
I think it was 2010 or 2011 when I first read her books. And it was before the movies, it
Mhm.
was before all of that. And I just remember, yeah, those books where you just consume, you just churn through it.
Oh,
You're like, I wonder what
yeah.
this is. And then 3 days later, you surface
You
and you're
wake
like,
up, you're like
yeah. You're like, what day is it? I don't think I can feel anything that's not this book for a while. Yeah, that's powerful though.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it's fantastic. I highly recommend it.
I've got a question here
So
from Vaden saying, besides The Little Mermaid and Pirates of the Caribbean, are there any other fairy tales or folklores, myths, and legends that inspired Voice of the Ocean?
oh, yeah, I mean, like any kind of, like, siren legend, I think I kind of tried to pull from. One thing that's I it's there's a lot of, like, really random subtle things that I put in there. Like, for example, there's, like, a lore about a siren. I don't know, I don't wanna do any spoilers, but there's a lore about a siren that echoes a fairy tale.
Mm.
Almost as if it's like one of the fairy tales that even like one of the mermaid fairy tales that is like almost like a precursor in a sense or like exists
Oh,
somewhere. It's kinda subtle, it's not exact, but I was like, "Oh, I find that very fascinating." But yeah, I think I try to let my imagination play a lot, but I also definitely pulled a lot of inspiration from Little Mermaid and from Pirates of the Caribbean. I guess if there was another one, I would say Hmm. This is such a good question. I'm like, did I have any other inspiration? Oh, you know what? Here's what it was. Which also might be a spoiler.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
I think I can't say what the other inspiration is. I think it would be too big of a spoiler, honestly.
What if you just tell us what it is and give no context?
Give no
No
context.
context.
I feel like it's an Avengers movie, and I won't
Oh,
say more than there, actually.
okay. I like that tidbit. Nerd.
There's there's a yeah. Exactly. I'm such a nerd. But yeah, there's an Avengers movie that I was like, when I was first writing it and coming up with the idea of having it be a duology, being like, "Ooh,
I
that.
like it.
I want that."
As a fellow nerd, though, I love those moments, especially like fan service, where it's like, this is made for
Mm.
me. This is going to,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you exactly the reaction you want from this because you are feeding my nerdy little soul and I'm grateful
Oh,
for it, you know?
yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, there is one tiny, Sims reference in the book. It's
You
a
had
really
to.
obscure one. I had to do it. There is a name of a character's last name that is the same of a character in The Sims that I really like.
No way.
Yeah, and I feel like no one's gonna catch it except for the hardcore Simmers that know my content. They're like, "I knew this would be in there." But yeah, I named one of the last names. Kiami's last name is the same as one of the Sims characters.
Aha! That
So,
explains why even more
I
she's
don't think
one of
that's a
your favorite
spoiler.
characters. I don't think so
Yeah,
either.
yeah. I
That's a
guess I
deep
could
cut.
tell you. I don't think it's a spoiler, so if people but I did want people who are Simmers maybe to wanna figure it out by themselves what the reference was, but there you go.
I'm getting outed
The
saying
spoiler.
Maud loves spoiling over here. I'm trying to be really good about it. KP Dub says, was there one specific moment, a book you read as a child, or inspiring teacher from school, or something else that made you decide that you wanted to be a writer?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had my very first creative writing teacher who actually is gonna be attending one of my book events, which was
Cute.
exciting. Um,
Oh,
I had a creative writing class, and I remember, like, writing a short story in that class, which was also a fairy tale retelling, ironically, that I still love that story. I, to this day, am ride or die for that random fairy tale retelling that I told, that teacher, like, praised my work and, like, was the first person outside of, like, my family and my friends who'd ever really like, an adult who had read my work and been like, "Oh, this is great. Like, you're so creative," and, like, um, seeing, like, a story that just came from, like, my playful, fun side and being like, "Yeah, this is awesome." And I think that stuck with me for a very long time. It became, like, a thing where I'm like, I considered going into creative writing at the same level as acting for a while, and then just I ended up moving to LA, and I was like, "I'm just gonna go down this acting path because I was a little more I had more practice in it, and I had more, like, exposure to it growing up. I did more acting, but I'm glad how it all worked out. I think it was, like, working out how it meant to, because I ended up in a crazy wild ride, through my passion for acting and, wouldn't change anything, but yeah, I definitely had a teacher that really inspired me. Teachers are the best, honestly.
what was that initial retelling that you did that you still think about?
Oh my gosh, so it was a Snow White retelling, which is
Did,
random,
did you see the
but
latest Snow White?
I haven't yet. I want to see it though, but it was there's a old fairy tale of Snow White and Rose Red, completely different fairy tale of 2
Oh,
characters that are sisters. It's not Snow White at all, but my retelling was if this Rose Red character from that other fairy tale was in Snow White the whole time, but, like, no one like, it was, like, her perspective being like, "I was there the whole time and no one paid attention." So it was, like, her giving her perspective as the, like, closeted sister, the forgotten sister, and it was like, oh, she was written out of all these stories because of, what was it? It was like her father blamed her for their mother's death because of she died in childbirth or something. And so it's but this she's this, like, sassy, angry little guy talking about her perfect sister,
I
and
love
there's, like,
that.
this sisterhood of it. Yeah, it's a really fun, like, her go having her own story, but then you see Snow White's story keep popping up on the sidelines of it. And then, the climax is, of course, like, bringing both of the sisters together. It's such a fun story. I'm like, someday I wanna, like, maybe rework it. I still love that
I
story
love
to this
that
day. It's so funny. It's a
because
funny story.
it almost pokes fun at Disney going through that perfect lens, how it's always like the
A
Disney
little bit.
princess who's so whimsical and she's so
Yeah.
perfect. And someone else is being
She
like,
definitely
this is her version. The actual version, none of that happened. And so it's almost like the
Yes.
unreliable narrator who's using a
Yeah, it's
perfectionist lens.
exactly yes, it's exactly. She's like
I love it.
"Ugh, my sister talking to her animals again."
Oh,
Like,
that's funny.
that kind
She
of
has
thing where you're
no
like,
friends.
"This is ridiculous."
Have
Why does it
you
just work out for her? She, like, went into the woods and found a house. I went into the woods, found nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
these people are
starving.
taking care of her. It's really funny.
Have you come across Naomi Novik? Because
Yes,
she does
love.
fairy tale retelling
Oh,
as
they're so
well.
fairy tale too. She does a great job with, like, the way it sounds like a tale. Oh, yeah. I've only read one of hers. Actually, no. I've read a few, but I haven't read Spinning Silver yet. Now you pulled that out and I was like, "Okay, I gotta move that up the
That's your
TBR."
sign.
'Cause
Uh,
that's my sign.
what I love about Naomi Novik, she kind of goes a little bit more Hans Christian Andersen with the fairy tale. And I think
Yeah.
we kind of forget that. Like the initial fairy tales are grim, like,
Yeah.
pun intended, but they are quite dark. And The Little Mermaid, like,
Mhm.
there wasn't a happy ending.
No,
This
it's
was not a
so
pretty story.
it's
It's
not.
devastating.
It's actually so sad. Yeah, it's so sad. It's so
So,
sad.
did you want to put sort of like less of the perfect lens on it and more of like the grit or more of the heart because you have added your own flavor to it?
Mhm.
What was it that you were trying to bring into it?
I think I was just trying to write a story for my younger self.
Oh,
I
I love
feel
that.
like growing up in in the era of the Hunger Games and the Katnisses, I was not a Katniss. Like,
Oh,
if I was in the Hunger Games, I'd be sobbing every day. Like, so I'd be a wreck. I'd be just trying to make friends. Like, I would be so useless. And I would try. I'm like a fairly athletic person somewhat. Like I used to do like fitness videos on YouTube as well. Like so I'm not like useless, but I'm also not like that a fighter, you know? And I think that thinking of through that lens, I was like, I would love a female main character that was like that. Like when my teens, I would have loved to read about a female main character that I could be like, oh my gosh, that's me. Which maybe sounds like a bit of a self-insert, but I think it was just more of that like feeling of like being softer, but still being capable, being
mm,
like a young woman who like gosh when life hits you it hits you harder than others and you don't know why and I just wanted to like give some I guess just like put up a lens for other people that might feel that way and might feel like their big emotions like are weird or wrong and I
mm,
wanted them to feel seen and be like oh you're not alone because as I grew up I developed all those skills and like understood myself better and I like didn't judge myself for my big emotions but when I was young it was really hard and I think
yes.
I would have loved to read a story that I could have connected to.
Did I read in the comments that you're a Cancer?
Oh yes.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
such a cancer. I'm the
Yep.
biggest cancer. I'm a Cancer Scorpio, if you could
Oh, that's
imagine.
so water signs. This is
It's
making more
so
and more.
water
Oh,
sign
okay.
I know.
Okay. Yeah.
This is the biggest water sign book
I will
that
say though, like when you're 17, you are experiencing big emotions and big catastrophes for the first time.
yeah.
So when we get
Yes.
older, we've got things to measure it against. But when we're
Right.
experiencing these things for the first time, it
Mhm.
is end of
Life
world.
altering.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why high school
100%.
is so hard because you're like, this
Yeah.
is all of my
Your first
life.
friendship breakup,
Oh,
you're like, "Oh, like, this person was my soulmate, and, like, how do I keep going?" Like, it's hard,
you
yeah.
can't think big picture because you haven't lived
There
big
is no
picture.
bigger yeah,
Yeah.
there's no bigger picture.
Yeah. So I really like that
You
because
were
you're
a
right.
child, and now you're now, you
Yeah.
know? You have no other frame of reference.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these protagonists in YA, they are 17 years old and they've got to have, well, we see them demonstrate sort of like the maturity level of the author writing them. And you're like, that's just
Sure.
like, we're still learning at 17. We are figuring it out. And you're right. We are going to sob through these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a quote in the book I put in there, and one of the characters goes, "Well, are you gonna cry about it? You're gonna do something." And she's like, "First of all, I'm gonna do both."
Yeah.
And I think that's like the journey of the book, truly is finding your well, first of all, I can do both. and I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna figure it out.
It's not one or the other. I cry through
Exactly.
my figuring out because now, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Step
exactly. I'm
one.
gonna cry about it, and then I'm gonna pick myself up and figure it out, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
do both.
But you
Part of my
can't have two.
process.
You can't have two without doing one.
No, not for me at least.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense to me.
I cannot skip ahead. I have to let go of all the feelings first and mourn the losses.
We have our last little string of questions from members, and these are very kind of random. So feel free to pow through these ones. Favorite
Sure
pizza
thing.
topping?
Pepperoni. So boring. Pepperoni and some, like, little hot maybe, like, jalapeno.
Love
I
it.
love a jalapeno.
Yes. Hot. Do you do the hot honey on
Ooh, yes. I love a little hot honey on it
it?
sometimes. And you gotta do ranch as well because I'm a Midwestern girly pop, and I love a little ranch dip.
I haven't heard someone get so excited about a little hot honey on a pizza.
Yes, a little hot honey. I put that stuff on everything.
Where is somewhere that you've traveled that changed the way you saw the world?
Oh, wow.
Woohoo.
I gosh, honestly, I think, I think I went on a tour when I was really young, like a choir tour, and we went through Russia, Finland, and at the time, the Czech Republic.
Whoa.
And that tour was really eye-opening in the fact that we visited a lot of concentration camps on the tour and sang there and sang in these big houses. And I met people from other cultures, and that was a really eye-opening experience. Beautiful countries, but yeah, it was a very interesting, life-changing moment. See, like St. Basil's in person. It was a very like different from anything I'd seen before,
Well, first of
and
all,
honestly after
I love that because I feel traveling is where you do your most learning, and it's something like
for sure.
over 50% of Americans don't own a passport. And as
Yeah.
someone who doesn't live in the country I was born in, so I have moved, and I
Mhm.
love having a cultural, like something that I can compare it to and be like, wow, for me,
Yeah.
it was this way, and for you, it's that way. And neither's right or
Yeah.
wrong, but both are
Yeah.
so different, and we get to learn through it. And the thing about going to European places is that the history, I mean, America and Australia do have something in common, and that's white colonization have wiped out and eradicated a lot of the entrenched history there. So it feels
Not
like,
thumbs up, but
but like, yeah, woo,
but like,
go
yay!
colonization,
It's terrible.
like eradicated a lot of history and
Yeah.
culture. And as a
Yeah. So
consequence,
true.
culturally, we have a relatively new like architecture or buildings, like it's only a couple of hundred
Mhm.
years old. You go to Europe
100%.
and it's thousands and thousands of years old.
For sure. I
And
think, yeah, a lot of these other countries do a lot better job of preservation, and yeah, it's just it wasn't quite in the cards.
but I think like
A lot of destruction.
being a kid and kind of seeing that level of history. And I also think it's
Mm,
important that just because the history can be uncomfortable doesn't mean we have to ignore it. And
so
it's,
true.
it's kind of where we are today, and we learn about the generations before us and why we have the privilege that we might have today, the experiences we have today. So I think
So true.
traveling as a kid, that's was supposed to be a quick question, but that's really cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, I was very fortunate when I was young. I also loved traveling, so any opportunity, any like somehow there was a trip involved in school, like I went to Australia as a kid because I got
Woohoo!
like this yeah, I got this like I think it was like a I forget what it was, but I ended up like doing a little tour up the coast and like meeting like a family and staying with them one night and I loved traveling. I still do. Any opportunity to travel, I'm always hungry for it. And you do learn so much about culture and tradition and just like being like having different life experiences and having like a different touchstone. It's like even just small things like the flavor of your Pringles
Yep.
that you grow up with will be completely vastly different wherever you are from. And like
The
this
chocolate.
it's so funny. Yeah. Chocolate
American
Pringles?
chocolate. No, no, America's
Oh, American
chocolate.
chocolate. Yeah. Chocolate's very different.
You ain't got
You're like, "I don't
none.
approve."
You
No.
go outside of America and eat chocolate and be like, wow, this is what it could be. Especially Hershey's. It's like oily. Anyway, um, What is a movie that you're embarrassed to say that you have watched over and over and over?
Honestly, I'm not embarrassed of any of my weird movie. I've watched a lot of oh gosh, can I find one really embarrassing? I mean, Ratatouille I've watched an
That's not
inordinate amount of times, but I stand by
it's
it.
not an embarrassing movie.
It's so good. Okay, let me try to think of something that's embarrassing. The Barbie movies, like Barbie Princess and the Pauper, I'm not embarrassed by those either. They're bangers. Barbie and the Diamond Castle,
What happens
elite.
in the
I
Diamond
love it.
Castle?
You'll have to watch and find out.
Okay. Long story short, we don't get embarrassed around here.
I don't.
We own our stuff.
I own the weird things that I love.
Um,
Maybe the Harry Potter musical. That was like a really weird one that I've seen way too many times.
what do you
A
mean
Harry Potter
seen?
musical. A Harry Potter musical? Well, it was on YouTube, and
It's
then
not the
I downloaded it to DVD, and then I watched it a million times.
really?
Yeah, Darren Criss, where he got his start for Glee.
Really? I didn't know this
Yeah.
existed.
Oh, there's actually a lot of random, like, people that got their start on that Michigan University
Who
stage.
else was in that?
Oh gosh, you'd have to look it up. I
Okay,
honestly
I
don't know
will.
who else is in it, but yeah, Darren Criss started as Harry Potter in the Harry Potter musical. It was like a deep obsession, and I probably can still quote a lot of it.
Avery's like, you don't know about a Harry Potter musical, Maud? It's iconic. I'm like, no,
U of M.
I missed
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh dear, I feel
University of Michigan.
terrible.
My apologies. But yeah, no, it's yeah, you gotta look it up.
Okay. Uh, we're moving into a different segment. So, members, you've got your answers for those questions. This is something that I really kind of want to do as a deep dive to get to know you as a reader. And that
Oh, okay,
is
yeah.
the top 5 books that shaped your life and why. What books did
Mhm.
you read that just made a permanent impact on not only your tastes, what you're into, the genre that you like, the character development and
Mhm.
tropes that you've fallen for, but that inspired you to then become a writer as well. I have your top fives in front of
Yes.
me. So let's go
Excellent.
through some of these. And let me tell you,
I'm
they're
like, remind me what I
they
said.
they are not like in one lane. It is a smattering across the board, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 5, you chose Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency by Douglas Adams.
Yes.
When did you first read this book, and why was your favorite Douglas Adams novel not Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I know. I feel like everyone would be shook. Oh, it's just so good. I think it was my first book that I remember reading where there was all these disparate parts. When you're reading it, there's like a lot of characters that none of them are in the same place. Nothing feels like it's like you're following all these different stories that don't feel like they're connected. And then at the end, it's so satisfying. It's like boom, boom, boom. Everything just slots in and you're like I loved the reveal at the end is fantastic. I mean, one thing I love about that book is that Douglas Adams wrote for Doctor Who,
Hmm.
another like nerd moment, and this was his like ideas that didn't make it to Doctor Who ended up becoming Dirk Gently's holistic detective
And
agency.
what's hilarious is that
Fun
BBC
fact.
America then bought the rights to it, and I believe in
Yeah,
2017 or 2016 made it into a television series with Elijah
I've never
Wood.
watched it.
You
Oh my
didn't?
god, it's with Elijah
But
Wood. I gotta watch it now.
he's not Dirk. He is
No, he wouldn't be.
no, he's who travels with Dirk. Dirk was an
Okay,
unknown
sidekick.
actor. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fun. I
And
love
it
it.
was
I need to refresh, but the comedy in it is so spectacular, and I just love how, like, everything comes together in such a surprising way at the end.
but
It's
that's
just so
British humor.
satisfying. I know, I also love British I grew up with, like, a lot of British, obsession with my
Okay.
books and my TV watching. I watched The British Office first, and I still like it better, and
Because
I
it
will
is
fight
better.
people. I will fight people. I like more isolated stories where they're kinda like they get in, they tell their story, and they get out, and it's, like, always thought through like that, you know? I like that kinda, like, capsule storytelling.
What's
Um,
going back to sort of the cultural differences, what I will say there is intrinsically a difference in humor with British versus America. And being Australian, we revert to sort of British humor. And that
mhm.
is, I feel British is so much more subtle, nuanced, and inject sarcasm into it. Where I
Sure,
feel that
yeah.
American will kind of explain the joke a little bit more. Instead of using
Sometimes,
sarcasm,
yeah.
it can be like, "This is the joke," whereas British would be like,
Sure.
"This is the joke," and you're like, "Oh," so it's almost like a
Yeah.
secret, whereas in America, it's like presenting it to you.
Sure,
But
yeah.
like to a the because I have lived, I guess, through both of the differences, I'm a lot more like I notice it a lot more, but it's like the
Sure.
tiniest little tweak in either direction, I think.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can totally see that.
We're a lot more, yeah, British humor and Australians are a lot more sarcastic and a lot more dry.
Yes, yeah, for sure, for sure. And
And
there's
you
also,
notice
like,
it in The
a
Office.
little bit different of a slapstick too. There's a lot more physical comedy, but, like, they don't let on that this is comedy that is physical. It is, like it's kinda, like, so like, my favorite this is such a side topic, but one of my favorite, British television shows is, Black Books. Fantastic little series, and it's so funny. It's about a guy that owns a bookstore, but he hates people, and he just doesn't want anyone in his bookstore, but he does need to make money, and that's kinda but there's just so much, like, physical comedy to it. There's one where he's, like, hot, and he's obsessed with wine, and he pulls out, like, a wine bottle that's been frozen. He's like, "Gotta get my lolly," and he pulls it out, and then he slams it on the thing, the glass breaks, and inside's, like, a wine popsicle that's,
Oh
like,
my
in the shape of
god.
a wine bottle, and he just starts eating it. It's so funny because it's, like, very physical, but, like, he's just very serious, like, matter of fact this is normal to him.
That's
Uh, it's
brilliant.
it's so good. Oh, go
I've
watch that show.
never
It's hard
related
to
to a
find, but
person more.
he's great. Oh my god, I love him. He's so fun. I love this that show's such a bop.
We're going into book 4, The Fault in Our
Yes.
Stars by John Green. Now, you have confessed to being a crier.
I am a crier.
What kind of masochism are we dealing with here?
Oh,
Because
high levels.
yeah, yeah, like, even if you feel nothing, this book will make
Mhm.
you weep.
Mm.
I was, like, shuddering sobs with
Oh,
this one, ran out of
god,
tissues in the tissue
yeah.
box. What is it about this book that made its way into your top 5 list?
I think it's just the words. John Green has such a way with words, and I think there's like and I think what's fun about John Green is he writes from this like level this high level of intellect,
Mm,
but he also uses these like even just in small words, it's really poetic. Like just the two characters are going through essentially their own tragedies and bonding through it if you're unfamiliar. And there's like this joke that they share at the early in the book of like saying like okay and then the other one's like okay and because they heard another couple say like something else that was like really overly romantic. It'd be like love and they'll be like love and so they just were joking on that and said like okay and okay being like you okay checking in kind of a thing and just those two words or one word
mm.
repeated is threaded throughout the book and in different instances it has different meaning to the characters and it's so weighted like that like and it's one word repeated twice with two different like period whatever end punctuation and but that's all he needed. Oh, it's so good. It's heartbreaking. Like you it's a classic tragedy in which you kind of think you know the ending, but gosh, you're still on the ride and it's still heartbreaking to find it. It's so I'm a big John Green fan in general and both of the Green brothers and this was my first introduction to him as I'm sure it was many people.
Mhm.
And it's just it was very life-changing, especially to be introduced to John Green, who is a YouTuber and writer. In a sense, he became like my like goals to
You got a
be
role model.
I literally had a very specific role model. And I was like, "He can do it. I can do
But
it."
that's it. Sometimes all you need to know that it is even a possibility,
Sure, yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, seeing someone do it all, in a sense,
Well, they
you're
made a
like,
dream
"Oh, well."
become real. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he did it the opposite way. He was a writer first and then did YouTube, but either way, it's still, like Yeah, I, like, kind of grew up watching him online and also reading his books, and they shaped
Mm.
me quite a bit.
I
Mhm.
love that. Also, there's nothing
Yeah.
like being a younger person, because I read it a lot, a few, when I was younger, and being
Me too.
faced with mortality in that way,
Oh, yeah.
because we feel like we're going to live forever. And then, of course, in this
Yeah.
one, it's a very harsh reminder that that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, we don't all get like, some infinities are different than other infinities, which is another quote from that book.
We're gonna- yeah, well, we get you
Losing my
good.
mind. No, I mean
I got you. I got you. Book number three. We've already been talking about the series, but The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins.
Yes,
What
yes.
I did like about up to this point in this list is that all of them so far have been made into movies or TV shows.
That's very me to be like, "Oh, my favorite books then got turned into other things," but it's very true.
Well, yeah, when it's good,
Yeah.
usually,
Yeah. I
you
have
know,
great taste.
you have
That's
got.
what it means.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What was it about the Hunger Games that really enraptured you?
Oh gosh, I think it was just the, like, violence, the like, seeing that in a teen book, it doesn't baby you as a teen. I feel like as a teen, a lot of the teen books were like, "I'm a teen, having teen problems," and I read those too. Don't get me wrong, but, like, The Hunger Games did not pull punches. This was like the Game of Thrones
Mm,
of my childhood, right? Like, it was like no character felt safe. It felt like really like everything felt so raw and unexpected, and I really loved the world too. It was my introduction to dystopian,
mm,
which I love. I ate apart the dystopian era of I think it was like what the 2000s, 2010s.
mhm,
Loved all of those books. Was voracious for them, and yeah, I just think something about Panem and that world. And how similar, right? Like how it is just like ours, but fast forwarded is just such a fascinating, world, and it just sticks with you. All of the
mm,
symbolism, the characters are gorgeous, and really even the smallest characters are so fleshed out, like, that you really feel like you're there. I couldn't say enough about that series. I think it's fantastic, and it's just yeah, and it's political.
sure is.
And I think that was probably one of my probably first super political books that I'd ever read too, but it also is, like, entertaining and gripping, and it makes you question a lot of things about because you're finding entertainment in a book about a bunch of teens killing each other too. So, like,
Mhm.
am I, in a sense, as the viewer or reader of this story, siding with, the capital? And it's just, oh, it's very depthful, I think.
I love that segue going into your number
Mhm.
one book. Oh no, number two. We've got a number two book in the
Number
interim,
3?
but
Number 2?
I do want to
3.
highlight the fact that in your book you have a really great moment as well, where the perspective shift of am I on the right side?
Yeah.
Everything I've ever known, all my training, what we're supposed to do, who the bad guys are, the humans are the problem. They're the one that, but then on a mission to kind of take care of the humans, Celeste has this beautiful moment where she's questioning everything, being like, wait,
Yeah.
why are we doing this? Are we the bad guys? Like, what is the
Yeah, I
rhyme and reason behind our actions? Like, I
Mhm.
loved that switch moment.
I think everyone at some point should look at themselves and be like, "Am I the bad guy?" I think it's so easy to be writing your own story and seeing things only from your perspective or from the people's perspective that are like you. I think calling into question yourself is such a hard thing, but also like a very interesting thing in terms of like a coming of age story.
Mm,
It's like a level of maturity to reach this like, "Am I wrong here?" And it's hard. It's hard to do even now, right? Like as an adult to like sit back and go like, Am I wrong?" I'm so like I feel so much conviction in
mm,
my beliefs and to like check yourself and like see from another side and like try to see someone who's the enemy in all their complexities
yeah.
is hard. It's hard to do. And yeah, I find that fascinating when books kind of try to make you think that way.
I do too, because we always know our own intention. and they're never bad.
Yeah, and we're like, I mean the best,
Yeah,
obviously.
it can't be me, but
It
we
couldn't
are.
be I can't be the problem.
Am I the drama? But then it's like, we're all a lot more morally gray than I'm sure we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think everyone's got a little morally gray,
Yeah.
unfortunately, or fortunately. We're
Well,
all living
yeah,
in the gray.
yeah,
We're
and
all in
that's not.
different there's definitely a spectrum
There's
for
a gray
sure, yeah.
spectrum. Yeah, and it's whether you
Mhm.
hold yourself accountable or whether you live in blissful denial, that will be your
Fully.
grayscale.
Yeah.
Your number 2 book, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Now,
Yeah!
this is an
Oh, man.
ACOTAR. We've established the world. We've
Yes.
realized Tamlin ain't it.
Book 2. Yeah! Okay,
And
that was such a switch up.
I
I don't
loved
know
it.
too many book series that pull that off, right?
And because it's like these
Give her
moments.
flowers.
Right, we've he's so fantastic. He's so great. We're also in this Stockholm syndrome-esque type thing that we learnt from The Little Mermaid. He's not really that bad, but then his
Yeah.
behavior, what I love, because we just did this again for Maud's book club, books 1 and 2, and we're doing book 3 this month.
Mhm.
What I
Oh,
loved
nice,
about
nice.
it was that it was a slow burn into gaslighting. It was a slow burn, like it was
And you
he
could see why he got there. It was never like this feeling of, "Oh, he's not justified." You can and it really beautifully depicts like a abusive relationship
But
in a
I
sense.
I also and this is the conversation we had with Maud's book club, how
Mhm.
much of what we perceive, because I think abusive, like, has a very black and white version of abuse, and then there's
Sure. Yeah.
also a incompatibility abuse,
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
just tolerate differently, and my whole thing was, what if there was someone who really liked codependency, who had a little bit more of a traditional value, in life, which is obvious, like, not me at all, I'm very outspoken, but
Yeah,
not
not
ev
me.
but not everyone is, and
But yeah,
so
no, some
if
people
someone's like,
really
"You
want
you never
that
have to work
connection and
again.
protection. Yeah.
We're gonna put you in pretty dresses. You can flit about. Here is
Listen,
your art station. Here
it is sounding
is."
kinda nice.
But it's just this thing where that's how he's wired, she's wired very differently, and that
Yeah.
incompatibility became a point of contention to the point where it got abusive. Because when you say,
Yeah.
"Your behavior hurts me, I can't change," cool, you continue down that path, it becomes abusive.
Yeah.
But it
And
was
it's so rare, I think, in books to see that story happen, and especially when the first story is all a love story about the first like, it's what a shift.
so what is it about
Incredible.
book 2 that took the cake for you in the ACOTAR series?
I just feel like there's a lot of gorgeous moments, like Starfall at the top,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
like the journey of the enemies to lovers. I love a little enemies to lovers. I think it also might have been one of my first spicy books. I read it in like 2016, like early. And I think that probably was one of my first like big spicy books where I was like, oh,
What
so I was
what are
doing
they
my
doing
own
with the paint?
like, I was just yeah, I was like, "You write about this stuff and it's, like, cool." I think actually my first spicy books was probably 50 Shades because I was just so curious about
Oh,
that sensation. But
I
this was
never
the first one
finished
I
it.
liked. This was the first one I really liked. That one wasn't for me, and that's okay. But, not all books are for all people, that's alright.
And
But
book
yeah, I
2,
would
we get the
Book
Bat Boys in
2,
book
we
2.
get the Bad Boys, we get the breaking open of the world, like, she's really confined in book 1, you see, like, all the different places that this world has, you see all the different magic, she's got magic now, so she's figuring all that out, like, there's just so much I love when a world cracks open, especially when book 2 you were like, "I was in." I liked book 1, I really enjoyed it, that's why I was raring for book 2, but, like, I love the switch up of, like, oh, what you thought you knew, that's just a small, like, drop in the bucket of the world that this series can offer, and really like when authors do that and, like, stories do that, where you're like, "I'm already enchanted, and now I get to dig deeper." I think it is hard to try to, get such a vast world in book 1, right? Like, you're really just trying to, like, learn the basics, get in, learn the basics, give a story.
Mhm,
Like, it can be really hard, I think, to like, get it all in there, and I think this does it so well. I love book 2. I like all the, like, scenes, I love the bringing back of the sisters and all that
mhm,
drama, all the different characters you get to know and love. It's just I think it's a really fantastic I think book 2s are hard. I think especially in trilogies, book 2s tend to be, if you're talking about a 3-act structure in books, right? It's like the middle. It's like
Yeah,
the where the characters, going off and like on this side quest and questioning themselves. And it's like this muddy middle. It's really easy to do that. It's really challenging to make the middle like stand
hearty.
alone.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think it's a fantastic example of like a really good sequel in a trilogy. I think
Now,
it's a great job.
we are running a little late on time, but I do need to know
I
your
could yap
stance.
forever,
I
so I'm
I
sorry.
I need to know your stance on Nesta.
Oh, hated her. Biggest hater forever until I read that book, and then I was like, "She did it again. She did it again." I I wouldn't say she's my favorite character,
Ah,
but
she's a
uh
bitch.
but
She
but dang, like, oh, seeing her journey, like, I loved it. I loved that journey. I loved, like, a lot of, like, what I loved it. I loved it. I She turned it around for me. I was like, "This is this okay."
Trauma
But no,
shows up in
before,
different ways.
absolutely terrible.
Mhm. Yeah,
And that's the thing, I really like that everyone deals with trauma differently, and I do think that's kind of what I also explore in a different way. Oh, my dog just joined us. In a
aw,
different way in
hello.
my book is that, like, my character experiences it in, like, this sorrow and, like, in this place of grief, but Nesta experiences it in a place of anger and
Yeah,
wrath, and I couldn't necessarily understand a person like that because 'cause I'm not that person, but people that are like that, like, they saw themselves in a character that they almost never have, and I think that's, like, super wonderful about, like, stories in general, but also specifically this story and this universe is that they have a bunch of different characters that are gonna deal with things differently,
you make
and
a
I
good
think
point.
they're pretty well done, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, are you a
What
forever hater of Nesta?
I don't have sisters, so I can't relate to that aspect of it, but
Sure.
to opt out of protecting AC, I never understood the disdain she had against Feyre, the youngest sister. And I
Yeah.
think like a sister dynamic, the oldest steps up as a parent, traditionally, from what I've
Traditionally,
seen.
yeah.
So the oldest
Mhm.
their trauma will be the fact that they had to become an adult at a very young age and raise their siblings because their parents
Yeah.
couldn't. So the
I think
disdain against the youngest never clicked for me.
I get that.
Yeah. And
I think
also, I have a problem with if you hate you and you want to lash out and hurt others because of your self-hatred, that's a
Mhm.
problem. And I understand like
Oh, yeah.
hurt people, like that's
Yeah,
very
100%.
much a thing. But I'm so big on accountability. And it's like people
Yeah.
kept showing her unconditional love that she kind of had severed or should have severed at that stage, but people kept showing up for her. I don't know. There wasn't accountability. She
No,
had to hit rock bottom.
she was lucky, honestly, she's lucky having those people
Yeah.
in her life, 100%, and not everybody gets that. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, I totally get you. But I think sister relationships can be sometimes kinda hard,
Right. I don't
and
have any.
complex. Yeah, not every sister relationship's super close or the same, and, if I could see I don't know, I'm such an empathic kind of person, I always try to be like, "Well, what about their side?" So I could see how someone would go through that. Do I think it's, like, excuses what she did? No, I still, like, hated her, like I said, but, like, it was satisfying to, like, be brought around and seeing, like, the underside. Even if you can't, like, excuse it, you can still understand it.
Yeah. And believe that it can get
Yeah.
better. And I do like that it could get
Yeah.
better with love
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
support. But
Yeah, and
I'm really
everyone
big on
can find a
accountability.
path back.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and she owed a lot of apologies for her shitty
She
behavior.
did.
Yeah.
She
Um,
does.
book number 1 for you, the books that shaped your life, top
Mm.
spot. We are talking about your book. And understandably,
My
Voice
book.
of the Ocean is the book that shaped your life because you wrote it.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
fundamental chapter of the pages of your life. So I
Yeah.
kind of want to talk about
Really.
in what ways did this book shape you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think it was really a lesson in endurance. I think being in the digital sphere, I am so used to picking up an idea, throwing it out, and then being like, "Ah, it didn't work. I'll try another one." And I think there was something to this like persistence, this quiet endurance of creativity, of craft, that like really opened up my eyes and myself to a different part of my creative like being, that was so rewarding. I feel like I wouldn't say like one's better than the other, but I definitely like haven't gotten to slow down in a long time and
Right.
having that like obviously I don't think that's true for all authors. Deadlines are a thing. I didn't have one on book 1, right? So like I did whatever I wanted. I'm sure that relationship like isn't forever or isn't like going to always be the case, but like proving to yourself you can do hard things is such a huge thing. Like, I remember my first, like, half marathon.
Whoa, good on
I
you.
thought I couldn't finish it. Yeah, like,
That's amazing.
picking up hard things and doing them, even if you don't do it well, even if you fall on your face, like, is still such a learning experience. I felt like I was on my own, like, little hero's journey. I had my own long, dark night of the soul where I felt like this will never happen. I had several of them. There was, like, a time where I really thought, like Voice of the Ocean was dead and it would never see the light of day. I thought, like, no one would ever touch it. I heard so many no's. A lot of people were saying, like, mermaid books don't sell. Come back when you write a gaming book because you're a gamer. Like, I heard a lot of different stuff, or even just like, well, you know, your audience are gamers, like, why would they be interested in a book?
Yeah, we
And
also read. It's wild.
yeah, I know, I'm like, girls who love to game also have other hobbies. I
Mhm.
hate to break it to you. But especially, like, I was always, like, interested in fantasy games too, so I'm like, there was a lot of crossover for me in my head, but, like, I can understand that, like, not everyone sees the vision. But yeah, I think this, like, lesson of endurance and of, like, just continuing on and believing in something and letting yourself, like, go through the journey of writing is insane. It's an insane, like, experience, and it feels like a insanity to sit and just, like, imagine things and write them down and then hope that other people will read them and have the same like mental experience that I had, like it's like a lesson in delusion almost of like people sitting down and like imagining the same thing from a
But
bunch of words. It's wild. It's so cool.
so something we say with Maud's book club, and it's probably the most rewarding part about everyone reading the same book, is that my saying goes, we all read the same words, but we hear a different story. What
Yeah.
what have you had feedback about something in your book which you meant in one way because they're your words and this is how you interpreted
Mhm.
it, but someone else has come in with a unique, like completely different perspective on a moment that kind of rocked you?
I would say not yet. The book hasn't come out yet, so I haven't seen too many, like, depthful conversations about it. I think people have been, like, pretty
Well,
good about
let's go.
Yeah, but I'm ready. But people have been pretty good about, like, keeping spoilers and specific moments to themselves, so I haven't actually gotten to experience that yet, but I really hope to. It would be really wonderful to see it from other people's perspectives, but I will say one thing that's impacted me is, like, seeing some reviews where people say, like, "I could so relate." Like, I've never
Mm.
had a character that I related to the softest parts of them, like, in the same way, and that was, like, so gratifying because that's exactly what I was going for, and I did also get reviews of people being like, "She's crying too much," and I was like, "I fully get that too," you know, like, because that's the whole point, right? That's what she grapples with is
Mm.
other people going, "Well, you cry too much." I mean, to put it very, like obviously, it's more complex than that, but you know, and I think it's just very humorous that, like, not all characters and all stories are for all people.
Mhm, mhm.
But it's cool to see different experiences of the same thing, and I'm very excited to hear everybody's experience.
I don't want to go into spoilers with this, but something that really stood out to me, since this was sort of like a reimagining of The Little Mermaid, what was unique to the movie was that it was Ariel with a relationship with her father, and she was almost daddy's little girl. You've
Mhm.
opted differently, where
Yeah.
you have decided to have a matriarchy. Why was it
Yeah.
important for you to have women in positions of power?
This is not the first time I was asked this, and I was like, "Why did I?" I think it was just when I was coming up with, like, the dichotomy and, like, differences, I was thinking of, like, just what would be fun, I guess, to write, and I loved this matriarchal system that was, like but I think what's interesting about the sirens is that they're a matriarchal system that has gone to war with a patriarchal system, and
Mm,
they've been changed. In a way, like, things have changed over the years, and so you definitely see, I think, a different side. This might be a little bit not spoilers, but, like, kind of showing my hand as an author a lot, because I don't know if this is fully in book 1, but, showing, like, this um, community that's very community-based and yet very, like, still in a silent war,
mhm,
has this, like, juxtaposition of, like, well, we all take care of our own, but like, we also are exclusionary in ways and, like, like, seeing, like, how no society's, like, truly perfect and, truly one thing. And I do think I really wanted to explore a lot of different types of female relationships in the book. Like, although it's a romantasy and the romance is, like, a big part of it and a big driver for a lot of things that happen, I think there's a lot of different female relationships. There's the mother-daughter relationship, there's sister relationships, there's kind of having your first friend breakup is happening, finding a new like friend in a different community, and being kind of like awoken to like their world and their perspective and their family life. Like I just think that there's a lot of interesting aspects to female relationships that I try to explore in all of these different in all these different characters and their connection with Celeste at the forefront. I mean, I am writing from my own perspective. I am like a woman existing in the world. I have a lot of female relationships. I also went to an all-girl school. This might be like a weird connection,
same.
but I went to an all-girl school growing up. So I was always surrounded by women. And so I think it might have even just seeped in accidentally that I was just like, that, yeah, that's how I picture sirens. I think
Mm,
it makes sense. They're children of the moon. I wanted them to just exist as like an opposite to humanity. And have like I wanted this world to have like interesting new things that you might like find better, right?
mm,
Than the humans. Celeste might feel like, "Oh, well, we do this better." But also like certain things she'll find like better with humans. Like that
mm,
no side's the right side. And I think that's kind of where I'm trying to live in this story is
mhm.
like who is right? I think it depends on your perspective.
I like that. How important was it as a nerd to have a map in your book?
So important. Top important.
How was it designing that?
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. It was like oh my gosh. I have so much lore on the map
Have you shown
too.
it yet?
I mean, I guess I have it on any of my stuff. Do you wanna show it?
So bad.
You have it in front of you. Yeah, show it. Show the map.
We
A
have
little
a map.
a little cheeky silly little, like, lore that isn't in the book, but is part of what I did in the map is that all the stuff that looks like handwriting is
Yeah,
Celeste writing stuff
I
in
thought so.
to a
I
human
thought
map.
so because
So
there's
the
little
stuff
notes in there,
Yeah, there's little notes, things like oranges,
like question
like
question mark.
bird, how do they stay? How do they fly? And there's like a bird. Yeah, there's little references to like things that she's done and like her own journey. Cause like a human map wouldn't have siren things on it, but she added all the siren stuff to the human map for herself. It's a little side joke for myself, I think, but I
I
found it
love it.
very charming.
It's my favorite. Like, I used to have a rule where I would only read a book if it had a map at the start. If it didn't have the
I
map,
love
then I
that.
didn't care.
That's bold. I love it.
Stuck to one genre for a long time. Why is it so important? And are we saying Raiden or Ryden?
Oh, yes. So it's a Raiden, it's
Yeah,
the Japanese pronunciation of it.
Ryden. Because the
Mhm.
nickname Rye, that's when it clicked for me. I was saying Raiden and then the nickname
Yeah.
was Rye, and I was like, aha, got it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people have been on the Raiden part, and then so it's, like, infected my brain, so sometimes I say Raiden accidentally, but it's pronounced Raiden, because of he's, like, half, from one country and half from another, and, his mother named him, and she's from the country that's kind of inspired by Japan in the 1700s. So that's kind of where that comes from. So it's kind of European enough that, like, people could pronounce it, right? But it's also, like, comes stems from, Japan. But I think that's interesting that people would mispronounce it because that, I think, would be an experience you would actually have
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
well.
Raiden. Why is it so
Yeah.
important that he's a dog person?
Oh, it's because it's important
Imperative.
to me.
Yeah,
Wait, I feel like also I think that that's a huge, like, indicator of
a good person.
an easy first impression. It's like, "Oh, they're a dog person. They care for this poor," like, how easy to fall in love, with a person that's nice to a little animal. What's
100%.
not to love
That's like
from
the
afar?
that's like the evil meter. If you want me to like a person, they like the dog. They cuddle the dog. They name the dog. You want me to hate
Yeah,
that person? They kick the dog. I hate them. And
exactly,
that's all it's as
exactly.
simple as that. What relationship with the dog?
Classic
And that was
classic
actually
save the cat.
it was my favorite part about The Little Mermaid and Prince Eric. I remember my
Yeah.
therapist is like, "Maud, your obsession with Prince Eric has definitely like left its mark on your type. What is it about this fictional character that is so important?" I'm like, "He's a dog person."
He's a dog person. The end. No more
The end.
notes.
That's it.
And that's Captain Ryden Sharp as well. He's a dog guy. The
With
Admiral is not a dog, he is family,
with a
and he
crooked
will die on
smile.
that hill.
We got the crooked smile
And
going.
his crooked little smile.
The sheepish little grins. We've got the jest.
Yeah.
We've got the poking and the prodding. We've got the
Yeah.
he sees more than he lets on. Oh no, he's a very, very fun character, and you can tell that you're
Yeah,
having a
he's
lot of
fun.
fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like his, like, defense mechanism of extreme confidence is a very fun mechanic that I get to play with, of just like, "Oh, yeah, I can handle this.
Well, yeah,
I'm
that's
the best at this."
if you were to break it down, which I would, there's a level of confidence when you're grown up with with a regal role.
Sure, yeah, of course, yeah, you also inherit it. He comes by it fairly.
He literally has
You're
like someone to answer all the hard questions for him, should he at any given time.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
and I
Someone
love that
backs you.
and I
Like,
love
to
that you
grow up
call
with
him you nickname him Baz, which I love.
aw, Baz. Yeah, love Baz.
Very Australian to nickname
Oh,
it Baz. Yeah. So I
wait, I hadn't thought of that. That's perfect. I love it.
we have a
No notes.
Basil in the community and he's just Baz to me. So
Yes,
yeah,
that
I thought
makes
that
sense.
was fun. Okay, I could
To get
keep
an Australian nickname is peak goals, so jealous of you, Baz.
there it
Australian
is.
nicknames are elite. They're so silly, goofy, lovable, like Avro in Unhinged.
Oh, wait, Arvo?
Avo, sorry, Avo. See, I don't even know. In the, like the afternoon or Trady,
Yes.
like the e at the end. So cute. It's
Except I
so
defy
cute.
it. My nickname in Australia was Mordo, which it
Well, there's the o at the end as well. Yeah.
you'd probably be Peachy or Peacho.
Picho.
Yeah,
So cute.
I
I love
dubbed
it.
thee. Yeah.
Obsessed. Thank
Uh,
you.
we've gone way over time. I could talk about this book and what you've done with it forever. I didn't want to spoil too much of it, but let's just say if you're looking for a swashbuckling action adventure with a very relatable protagonist who
There you go.
feels feelings, who's been charged with a mission that she doesn't want to complete,
I've
that
been
has
there.
a wonderful slew of characters and does a lot of soul searching, introspective thinking, and a little bit of smoochy, which, or is there? We don't know.
Little romance, maybe.
Little romance.
We
Um, when she can wear pants. But this book is coming out April 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. When's the pre-order happening? When can people buy this one?
You can buy it now. There's signed copies through Novel Memphis, which you can order online, but you can get it anywhere you like to order books, pretty much internationally. Wherever you like to order books, you can look it up and you can pre-order it
Fantastic.
now. It comes out in less than 2 weeks. So you'll still be right on time to get it around release day if you
And
pre-order now. So
you have a book tour happening as well. Do you want to rattle off some of
we
the dates and
do.
places that you're going to be at, just in case people are in
Yes.
your city?
Yes, so a week from, tomorrow, I will be in Los Angeles for an early release party, at, the Ripped Bodice, so that will
Oh, I
be,
just visited there for the first
April.
time.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's the
It's
best. I
so
love the Ripped
cute.
Bodice. It's a fantastic, like, women and queer-owned independent bookstore that features women's stories and romance, and it's mwah! Love them. They're fantastic there. Go check it out if you're ever in California. But yeah, I'll be at the Ripped Bodice on Friday the 18th. On the 22nd, release day, I'll be back here in Memphis at Novel Memphis, having a good time. And then on the 28th, the Monday of the following week, I'll be in St. Louis, Missouri, my hometown. And I'll be with I believe it's the public library in Frontenac. It's like one of the public libraries partnering with the Novel Neighbor in St. Louis, Missouri. So very
Cute.
exciting.
Some great places
Yeah.
on that one. Oh, she's
Oh
going
yeah.
on tour.
He's
Oh,
going on tour. I hope to see you there. Say hi. Tell me Maud sent you. I'll sign your
yes.
book. We'll take pics. We'll chat. It's gonna be fantastic.
And if people didn't see it, you had the cutest PR boxes that were sent out to a lot of readers and
Yeah.
book creators as well. It had like a knitted blanket that's actually a mermaid's tail, which is
Yes.
super cute. A bunch of
Yeah.
other cutesy little things in there, like a candle, bath salts, I believe, so we can smell like the ocean as well. And I got a copy of the book as well.
Yes,
Um, w-
yes. They're
we
doing
can
a giveaway with that still, so you guys can go to
fantastic.
blackstonepublishing.com, look up Voice of the Ocean, and you can still win one of those.
And why not? Oh my gosh, if there's one thing I learned
Yeah.
about readers, we love winning stuff. So
Oh, we love especially if it's a book, you're like,
that new book smell, that new book
yeah,
smell.
there's also a giveaway on Goodreads right now for Voice of the Ocean as well, so if you
Hey,
if you want to add it to your TBR, join that over on that side as well. We're
I,
everywhere.
I
We're
can link the Goodreads giveaway
everywhere.
in the Discord as well. If you're watching and you don't
Amazing.
know about the Discord, it is our Maud's Book Club headquarters. Join it. It's an open community where we chat about the books that you're currently reading. We help support your reading goals. You keep in check with the books that we're doing throughout the year. For the month of April, we'll be covering Jade City, which is by Fonda Lee. It's a sort of present day ish. That's what we're going to discuss, actually. It's kind of like
Ooh.
a fictional Asian setting with using superpowers through jade stones, which is again and like
Ooh,
mafia
I
based
love
as
it.
well. And we're doing a court
Ooh,
of Wings and Ruin. We're finishing out the Akata
love it.
trilogy. There'll be lots of conversations about Nesta in that, I'm sure, because she features very heavily in this book.
She
Because all of a sudden,
she does.
it's very important her role, which I have thoughts. I have thoughts. I have thoughts. Maybe they
I
should have
can't wait
made
to hear those.
maybe they should have made Feyre just a little bit more interesting, and that way you wouldn't have to hold Nesta to carry the plot. Anyway, on that note, Kelsey, where can people find you online?
You can find me everywhere at Kelsey Dangerous, be it Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you want. Kelsey Dangerous, one word.
Least
I'll be
dangerous
there.
person I've ever met.
Honestly, I know. The joke is that I'm dangerous to myself because I'm clumsy.
Oh, that's so funny.
So
And
that my dad called me dangerous, growing up, so that was why I went with that name. But yeah,
that's
no,
so cute.
I'm a very chilled, like, goofball, so not really that dangerous, but it's part of my charm.
I
It's how
love
it gets
it.
ya.
I love it. Thank you so much for being a
Yeah.
guest on Moore's Book Club. Thank you for getting through technical issues together. I've
Yeah, oh
just
my gosh, thanks for
realized
having me.
I got no idea how to do the next stream. So I was going to put on a little "We'll be right back," which I don't have on this platform. It's another great time to say, fuck you, Streamlabs. Just putting it out there. If you wrong me online like this, I have no love for you, and I
Oh
will.
goodness.
There's a little Nesta inside of me sometimes. So, and in saying that, my swear count has gone up to 1,190.
The swear count in the chat is iconic. That's so good. I love that.
Oh, on that
Oh,
note, thank you so much.
good.
Have a great rest of the night and best of luck with your book launch. I wish you
Thank you.
everything and then some. And thank you so much for giving me a copy and letting me celebrate with you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so, so much, for having me, and, thank you everybody for listening.
Sweet. Bye.